I'd like to call the Litchfield Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting to order at about 7:03, and I'll start with roll call.
John Burnell, member. John Devereaux, member.
Laura Gandia, member.
Jerry Sorensen, member.
Jeff Blackwell, building inspector.
We do have 3 continued cases from June 20th, 2022, cases 2, 3, and 4. The applicant and his attorney have made an offer for case number 8/15/2022-2 to go first, if they would like to. Is anybody here from for that case?
Yeah,
I'm all set.
Do you want to go first?
No, I can wait.
You're going to wait for a while. He'll be here for a long time, so that's up to you.
Okay, I can go ahead.
You want to come first?
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to call, thank you, Andy, for that offer. So I'm calling case number 8/15/2022-2, a variance from LZO Article 500, Section 575.6.0 to encroach 8 feet into the 20-foot side setback for the construction of a shed. Name of applicant, Peter Jamacha. Owner of property, Peter and Kelly Jamacha, David and Natalia Jamacha. 19 Weatherstone Road, Litchfield, New Hampshire, 03052, map 2, lot 88-25. And if you wanted to come forward and introduce yourself, please. Thank you. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
It's the Maha. It's okay.
Okay.
I got used to it by third grade.
You just want to introduce yourself and then you can go
Yes.
through your
So
application.
good evening. My name is Peter Zmahai. I just moved to town in 2020, but looking forward to living here hopefully for a long time. My wife and I live in Weatherstone Estates down in the south end of town. I work as a special agent for the Department of Defense and also serve in the Coast Guard Reserves part-time. And we are looking to build a shed on our property. Do I just go into the explanation or?
If you can go through the 5 points, you want to
Okay.
just tell us where the shed is going to be located and what you're doing? That'd be
Okay.
perfect.
So we want to build a shed to store obviously lawn equipment, other things on our property. Unfortunately, with how our lot was cleared by the builder, we have some limited spots where we can put the shed up, and due to butting up to wetlands along the back, we obviously have that 75-foot setback across the back of our property. So we only really had one spot where we're able to build the shed because we wanted it kind of sitting in a wooded area where it's not going to encroach on our entertaining space, on our play space for our young child, and really not have an effect on any of our surrounding neighbors or anyone else in the neighborhood. So we wanted it settled into a little wooded location. Unfortunately, the spot we picked at the back left corner of our property was really the only spot where it would be able to fit. We tried to pick the spot there because I tried to measure accurately, but there's a large area of wooded trees in the way, so it was difficult to get exactly where the property line sat. So I measured to the best of my ability because I tried to find surveyors, but they're both cost prohibitive and very difficult to find one that could get out in a timely manner at this time. So I tried to do the best I could to measure. Unfortunately, I was incorrect. Initially, where we wanted the shed was actually outside of the 20-foot setback, but there is a large, probably 100 plus foot pine tree sitting right near the front corner of the where we want to put the shed. So we shifted the pad over. Based on my measurements, I thought we were still within the setback area. However, when Mr. Blackwell came out and measured, it turns out we were within the setback area because I had made a mistake in the measurement. So we had poured the pad and shifted it over initially from where I had initially planned to put it in order to not have to take down that tree. We wanted to keep that tree up to preserve the shaded area and preserve the look and feel of the wooded areas at the back of our property because we just feel that's the whole reason we wanted to put it there, was to have that wooded area there, and taking down that tree would have kind of impacted that. So we made the mistake, thought we had room to shift, but we didn't actually have that room. And so we poured the pad thinking we had room to spare. Shifting the pad, we feel, has no adverse effects on any of our abutters or the general look and feel of the neighborhood. Putting the shed in, I feel, will actually impact positively both our property values and the values of those properties around us. The appearance of the shed from the street or from any of the abutters properties would be the same as if the shed was a little smaller, under 200 square feet, where that location would be perfectly fine within the ordinance. We picked that location in order to have the least effect on our neighbors, our abutters, and ourselves. And we feel that even with the 7-foot shift over close within 7-foot encroachment within the setback area, we still will have minimal effect. There's still a 20+ foot wooded area between where the shed is going to go and our neighbor's cleared area. So there's still a significant buffer between us and the neighbor. We've talked to all our neighbors who none of them have any issue with where we want to put the shed. And that's kind of where we stand.
I just want to go through the 5 points. Do you have your application? in?
Unfortunately, my computer crashed and did not save it. So
I'm going to borrow my copy for now.
Say there's additional copies.
Oh, there's it. Okay.
There's additional copies in there.
So the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Again, as I mentioned, so the adjustment of 7 feet will not significantly alter the view. And should we have made the shed a little smaller, it could have sat right where it was and would have minimal effect, minimal different view from any of the abutters. We've discussed it with our direct neighbors and they have had no issues. So there's no impact on their interest or their property values or ours. And actually, by moving and encroaching within the setback, we feel that actually helped preserve or enhance property values more than taking down the tree in order to observe the 20-foot setback. Additionally, there were no other areas feasible to place the shed that would have worked with the wetland setback. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because even with the movement of 7 feet, the look of the area will remain consistent, and there's a large natural barrier between our proposed location and the neighbor that provides privacy to our neighbor and abutters. Substantial justice is done because the adjustment of the setback prevents cost-prohibitive actions, which would prevent us from being able to complete the project. By allowing the setback to be moved, we will be able to maintain the wooded area with established trees, which will have a lesser effect on our abutters than working within the 20-foot setback. The values of surrounding properties are not diminished because allowing the shift in the setback allows us to maintain the look and feel of the wooded area where the shed is to be placed, allowing privacy and shaded areas to be preserved on our neighbor's property, helping to maintain their property values. And as I mentioned earlier, additionally, had it been under 200 square feet, it could sit where the pad is right now within the zoning ordinances, and that would have minimal different look to what the proposed size of the shed will be. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship because having to remove the tree would be a significant financial hardship. Additionally, since we made the mistake and poured the pad as is, that would also be an expensive cost to move the pad or cut and add sections to it. In order to maintain the wetland setbacks, was the only feasible location to build the shed and have it fit with the natural setting, preserving both our property values and those of our abutters. And I think that was it.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I got a couple. The shed, can you just elaborate on what the shed's going to look like?
The shed is going to be custom designed. My brother designed it. It's going to be a white clapboard siding to match kind of the style of the craftsman style of our house. Going to be 20 feet deep by 15 feet wide in order to fit all our lawn equipment and any future growth, anything else we want to get in the future, as our HOA prohibits just storing anything outside on the grass. So we wanted room for future growth without having to demolish and rebuild it down the road. Going to have barn doors on the front, kind of look like a small barn in essence, just trying to make it look and blend in as well as we can with the surrounding properties and surrounding houses.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the slab itself is not a vertical structure. Does that still violate the
What
the
is?
setback? He's the slab is already poured, right?
Correct.
And that still violates the current setback, or is it just for vertical construction? I
Oh,
guess?
it does. I mean, yes. 'Cause-
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's still considered a violation even there's no vertical construction yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, he'd be fine to leave it, but
right. So just one question, and another additional question. So you're dodging the tree. I got the tree
Mhm.
thing.
Yes.
But you can't put it in front of the tree, or so. I think what it is you're trying to preserve the open
Yeah.
space in
So,
the backyard.
so we're trying to preserve the open space where the tree sits. You have it's right at the edge of the wood line where the front edge of the shed is going to be. The tree is basically the edge of the open space, grassy area, and the wooded area, and we want it nestled into the wooded area to prevent having to just take away open space with the grass and lawn, play space, etc.
it also levels off back
Yeah,
there. It's the front lawn is relatively level, but from front of the house towards back of the house,
Mhm.
all pitches down.
that's
So he's
right.
got a pretty good slope as it goes down there.
Okay, I'm just trying to sort of what I want to say. I want to sort of reconcile the difference between you've got this whole yard, but you still want to put it in the setback. And I understand
Yeah.
the reasons for wanting to nestle it and hide it and make it disappear, but it seems to me that's going to be a pretty nice structure. So,
So this just so you know, so this is a tree. This is
Right.
definitely a tree. It's all growth
Mhm.
to the side and to the other side and all back, all through here. So his wood line is actually something more like this. So he doesn't have, so this space back in here isn't all open.
It seems like he's limited where he can put it because of the wetlands
Yeah.
or the wet spot. So look at the building map. He's probably picked the flattest area and tucked it away.
That is the reason. So can I get up and show you
Question.
kind of?
yeah.
So our grassy area follows kind of right along the wetlands, and then right around here, it comes up and goes here. And this is a number of developed trees, probably 10 or so developed trees in this area. This was all young pine sapling growth in this area. That was much easier to take down without having to cut down the big trees. And again, like Mr. Blackwell mentioned, this is where it levels down. You have a slope coming from pretty much here all the way down to about that line, right near the woodland. And really, aside from this one area where it's wooded, the grass runs almost right up to the wetland setback.
Could you just stay there for a second while I ask you a
Yes.
question? See where it says 88, the number 88?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about putting it somewhere in that area?
So this is all cleared and it's all a grassy area. And this is all sloped still all the way back from here down. So we are cleared to probably about this line.
Right. So why couldn't you put it right where you just had the like,
Over here?
No, not in the setback, but
Here?
Yep.
Because again, we wanted to nestle it into a wooded area, have it kind of set back. Because this is all large green space where we generally entertain when we have people over. This is where the kids are running around and playing, kicking balls.
It can be seen from the street too. That's wide open from the street.
So really the only wooded area that was outside of the wetland setback is this area over here. And that's where we wanted to have the shed placed.
thank you.
And this is the view from the street. There's no street view because I guess the truck hasn't gone down there, but where he's proposed, where you're talking about is in that bottom left-hand corner is where you were mentioning. That's wide open to the street. Where he's tucked it in, it's tucked behind a whole bunch of growth. So no one's going to see it from the street.
You might see the top,
Barely.
might be about it.
I think you have 143 feet from the property line on this thing, 143 feet from the property line to the beginning of the shed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as he mentioned, it does slope down. So you're not really going to see much from it from the street.
Any other questions from the board?
No, I have no further questions.
I'm going to open it up for public input. Is there anybody in favor of the application that wishes to speak? Anybody in opposition to the application that wishes to speak? And anyone with questions? All right, we have no public input. I'll take a motion to close public input.
I'll make that motion.
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And before we go into deliberations, I forgot to mention, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4 members. You can, if you want, put a pause on it and continue until we get 5.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We can
just to make
continue.
sure. Yep. All right, so we're in deliberations now, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
So are
thoughts?
all the butters were notified, right? And there was no feedback from any butters? I know he mentioned he talked to all his.
I don't have, let me just double check to make sure there's nothing
There's
in the
nothing,
file.
there's nothing in there.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I do have a letter from one of the abutters, if that,
So we'll open it back up, sure.
sorry.
That's okay.
Is it from the one on the side where you're putting the shed?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so I'm just going to read this letter into the record. It says, "To whom it may concern, we are long-term residents at 21 Weatherstone Road, Litchfield, New Hampshire. We are the neighbors of Peter Samaji at 19 Weatherstone Road. We will be long-term residents here at 21 Weatherstone Road, and Peter has our permission to build his shed within 20 feet of our property line. Please contact us at any time. Please contact us anytime with any questions or concerns. Thank you. Jeremy and Jessica Preventer, 21 Weatherstone Road, Litchfield, New Hampshire, 03052. So I'm going to mark this as Exhibit 1. Anybody have any questions about the letter? All right, so we are back into deliberation, so thank you. All right, thoughts?
So my evaluation is we're going to save it. It seems like there's plenty of trees back there, plenty of shade, whatever. And I guess it's just a matter of we're going to save a tree and the costs associated with that tree. I mean, that's where it boils down to me is, I mean, I got all the other pieces and the parts of it, but I mean, there's a 20-foot setback established for a reason, and that's, you know, and you can get neighbors to agree and such. But it all boils down to whether or not the 20-foot setback and the tree. Because I think if I'm correct, if the tree is removed, then you have no more issues. You can build it outside of the,
There's a number of trees behind that as well, but yes, that's the main tree. That's the issue.
it looks like you need to push it forward out of the trees
No, to the side.
to the side.
So we come up further and then out
Yeah.
the 20 foot.
Yeah.
So closer to the street, closer to the house, and then in the match of 20 feet. So taking that size of a tree down, you're looking at, just had one taken down, $2,300 roughly. If it's full grow, probably, right?
You also have to move the slab or remove
Well,
the
this-
slab.
yeah.
That's not cheap.
So, I mean,
Well, I understand that, but the slab was, you know, I mean,
And I think the analysis and the board has had different situations where people come to us after the fact. And I'm not saying he did something wrong intentionally, but they've come to us after the fact. Some people have come, you know, after the fact when they have done stuff intentionally. But the analysis for that isn't to say, okay, there's a cost associated with that. The analysis is to think of it as a brand new structure going in. And it's unfortunate that it is the way it is, and it may cost more money if the board decides not to grant it. But I just want to make sure we have the appropriate analysis. It's not to consider the cost for that slab.
I mean, there is a unique situation for this property due to the wooded area, the flat areas, and the desire to try to minimize the construction in view. So there is a unique part of this property that would lend itself to having a shed where they decided to put it. And with the wooded areas and moving it and make it appropriate for the side setback, you are kind of going against what the intent of the side setback is to provide a buffer and privacy and woodedness, the flavor of the neighborhood. So in some sense, by if you feel that the literal interpretation of the law or the zoning rules is actually goes against the zoning rules by forcing the shed to be moved, in my opinion. So I think in this particular case, I think the area of the property is unique, and that the intent is to provide side buffers to provide privacy and essentially buffer between the properties. And I think actually what they're doing is actually aligned with that, in my opinion.
And Jeff, are there trees on the other side?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so there's still
Yeah,
vegetation
it's
there?
tucked into a pocket.
Right.
Yeah, so it was all small stuff, small growth that was taken down. All the larger trees are still there on
There.
both sides. Yep.
And I do echo your concerns about keeping the setbacks intact, and they're there for a reason. And I do think there's other options where he could put the shed where he would not be in violation of the setback. So there's other places that go, and they may not be
So-
ideal for him, but
So I agree with that, and just kind of continue my thought is, based on all the discussion, even though it's in the setback, and even though it's not, it seems like it's the best place to put it on this particular site. I mean, we could find other
agree.
places, but then there would be other detrimental.
Yeah, you're going to see it from the
Effects of that,
street.
but-
You're going to have it in an area that's going to consume the workable, or at least usable area of the yard. And I agree with the 20-foot setbacks there for a reason, but it's going into the woods, that those trees are not going anywhere. It's secluded. No one's going to see it. It's ideal for his use and is what he's trying to do.
Yeah, well, I concur with that. I just wanted for the record to note that it's there for a reason. It's not just something that we just have to go to another to get to it. But every case is different. Every site is different. You know, my first thought is the homeowner knew it when he bought the home, unless some of the setbacks were changed at post-purchase. So the limitations of the site were already there. So now the evaluation is what's the least detrimental effect? 7 foot into the setback, or putting it somewhere else on the site to where it becomes more detrimental? And then just sort of so my opinion is just weighing those sort of values. I mean, obviously, if we just ignore setbacks and we do it continuously, then setbacks become a problem, and then we always talk about property values always increase, not necessarily. Just because you add something doesn't necessarily increase the property value. So that's just kind of just sharing my initial thinking through that, how I'm weighing the pros and cons and to whether or not it's justified. And you're right, there are other places you can put it, but they may or may not be the best place to put it on the site overall. So the value of 7 feet of setback versus its other location on the site. So
I'm just going to pick your brain a little bit more just so I can understand. So if we were to put it someplace, like if we were to move it over out of the setback and cut down one tree,
Well, a bunch.
okay, so if we were to put it,
It'd be,
a bunch of trees would be
Cut
cut
them
down.
down.
right, and you'd have to change. The doors are in the front right now.
Yeah.
So the big tree is in the front. So you're gonna have to change your doors. So
Right, but that analysis is not,
correct,
know,
right,
just-
right.
so if we were to put it where I said the 8.8 was, could you put that map back up?
Down here, that's
Yes.
going to put it right in the front yard, basically. You're going to see it from the front yard. You're going to see it from the front. The neighbor's not going to want to see it in the front yard. It's my opinion, but
This is a very open area.
Yeah.
From the street and from the other lot. And this is where it starts to really kind of taper off.
What about if you moved it up from where it is, up and over, like to the other 20-foot? See where the red line is in the 20-foot? So,
Oh, this?
yeah, if you
Yeah.
moved it up and over into that area.
Can I add something to that location? Right around that 20 foot, there's another group of 4 or 5 mature trees that we'd have to get cut down in order to move it there.
So just,
Can you bring the, excuse me, can you bring the aerial back up?
So let me find my mouse. There we go.
So this is the 88 side over here, or?
This is the 88, yeah.
And so they're putting it, it's going back in this group of trees here. So as you slide it up, you're just sliding up into the trees.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, but the other side of the house where the 88 was, right?
It's wide open right here.
Yeah, but you could put it there.
Yeah, but it's still wide open to the street. What are the neighbors going to think about a shed sitting in the middle of the yard?
Want to be the first shed that's
True.
in the
True.
backyard. I mean, pool houses, pools,
Sure.
garages.
He's asking for a shed, not a garage.
I know, but I'm just saying. I personally think that the board needs to be careful of jeopardizing the integrity of the zoning for trees.
I would think the Conservation Commission and other bodies in this town would disagree with you. Trees are important, and taking full-grown trees or even mature trees down for the sake of a
Well-
shed, they would argue with you, find a better place for it.
No, and I understand protecting trees too,
But ideally on this lot, I think we seem to be all agreeing that the best spot is that back area there. It's out of the way. It's out of the visibility.
we're not all agreeing, but that's your.
No, I'm
opinion.
just saying,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think feels like there's a
There's
majority of us.
consensus.
Yeah, consensus that that's important. But
Can we just see, can you move it down to see what that house across the street looks like?
house across the street is.
No, just
almost-
because I can see a shed.
Yeah, you
over-
see something right.
Yeah,
there.
that guy, yeah.
Yeah, but that's all flat though. That's a flat lot.
Yeah.
Jeff, this is a question for you. I know the section that's quoted for the variance, it's for a conservation subdivision. Usually we do the section 300 for the variance request. but-
Oh, yes. Well,
So-
again, this kind of happened.
So I missed looking at, so
It's-
he's seeking relief. Usually it's like the 310.
It's spelled out right. It is because it is an open conservation development.
So it is that.
It is.
It is. Okay,
Right.
so that's why.
And again, the numbers are going to be the same. The setbacks
But
are
I
the
know
same.
this. Yep.
But in fact, he was the one that picked up on it in that section of
So
the zoning.
so this is a conservation subdivision.
Yes.
Okay.
More important.
And it's probably one of the only individual sections for the districts that actually specifies those numbers. So, but they're exactly the same as what's in the dimensional chart for the residential dwellings.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Does anybody want to, do you want to go through the 5 points? So, see if we agree with that. And then,
I did.
so does everybody you want to go through every one, is the consensus that people are agreeing with it. So 1, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Yes, a 7-foot adjustment will not significantly alter the view from the road or any abutters while allowing us to preserve the look and feel of the natural areas and at the same time prevent cost prohibitive tree removal, which would have to be done to meet the 20-foot setback requirement. We have discussed this with our direct abutter, who is most affected by our request, and they are both supportive of our request as it helps preserve shaded areas. Anybody have any questions, comments on that? Are we good?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Everybody agree?
Yeah, I agree.
The spirit of the ordinance is observed. Even with the movement of 8 feet, the look of the area will remain consistent, and there's still a large natural barrier between our proposed location and the neighbor that provides privacy to our neighbor or a butter. Anybody have any concerns with that?
So it says 8 feet. Is it actually 7 feet?
It's 7. I confirmed it's 7. He started with 8 feet just to make sure. And then in the meantime, I did go out to confirm those dimensions. So to the best of our ability, those are very accurate. So it's 7 feet.
Substantial justice, the adjustment of the setback, cost prohibitive action, which would prevent us from being able to complete the project. By allowing the setback to be moved, we will be able to maintain a wooded area with established trees, which will have a lesser effect on our abutters than working within the 20-foot setback.
Agreed.
Well, my comment there is the lesser effect is on you as it isn't necessarily abutters. I mean,
I would
It's a lesser
also
effect
argue
on your
that the
property,
shade
yeah.
from that tree also hits their yard for 90% of the day.
mhm.
Right, the values of surrounding properties are not diminished. Allowing the shift in the setback allows us to maintain the look and feel of the wooded area where the shed is to be placed, allowing privacy and shaded areas to be preserved on our neighbor's property, helping to maintain their property values.
I got to agree with that. I agree that the values of the surrounding properties are not diminished.
Right,
Yeah, I don't think they're increased by,
They're not
they would
diminished.
not be diminished.
Right.
So I agree with that.
And I don't think cutting down the tree would diminish the property value of the neighbor either.
Correct. I concur.
Literal enforcement, having to remove the tree would be a significant financial hardship, and to maintain the wetland setback along the edge of the back of our property means that this is the only feasible location to build a shed and have it fit into a natural setting, preserving both our property values and those of our abutters. Additionally, the pad for the shed was already poured based on incorrect measurements, as we thought we were 20 feet from the property line, and the cost to demolish and re-pour or move the pad is prohibitive. Thoughts on this one?
So just to comment for the record, then, I mean, yeah, I feel for that part of it, but if the pad had to be demolished, it would have to, I mean,
Right.
that's not a determining factor.
Right.
I think it's almost like a neutral factor, whether it's poured or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a statement. It's not a factor in my decision. But.
I do have an issue with 5 because I do think there are other reasonable locations that, again, will maintain the integrity of the zoning ordinance that he could put it. So I don't think his property meets the uniqueness criteria for paragraph 5 because there are other options where he can put the shed. So that's my 2 cents.
Can I make a motion?
Sure can.
I make a motion that we grant the variance as requested for section 575.6.1.e, allowing them to encroach 7 feet into the 20-foot setback.
I'll second it.
Motion, discussion on that?
Again, the evaluation of it line by line by line and looking at it, looking at, you're right, there are other places. But after discussion and after the presentation, I mean, there may be other places, but I'm starting to feel like that might be the best place for it. So,
And I'll just reiterate, I do have a problem with criteria 5, and I think one can't set precedent, but the analysis that we engage in, I think we need to be cautious of how we engage in certain analysis, because if we allow a variance in this case because of the removal of trees, then what are we going to allow next time for other things that may not be what the criteria is, set out to allow. So I do have concerns with allowing it, and his main reason is cutting down the trees, and I don't feel again like that justifies it justifies him encroaching into the setback.
I think I would agree with you if it wasn't a conservation area and the trees are somewhat
But it's not
important.
a conservation
It
area.
is a conservation easement that goes in there. We're not, what do you
Well,
want to know?
he has conservation wetlands in the back, but where he's putting the
But
trees
We
isn't.
want to save the trees. Let's save the trees.
All right.
We've allowed other setbacks, encroachments and setbacks for less, for similar
that's the
reasons.
precedent I want to be.
I know, I understand, but
Because
then,
I can feel the emotion of it,
Yeah.
and I know the whole, we know this whole story behind it.
Mhm.
But once you set a precedent, then you get chased down. So,
but we've set, I won't call it a precedent, but we've taken in consideration the facts of the lot and how they apply and why it's the right place. Just in my neighborhood alone, we've allowed a garage to go into it because of the way the house was set and the property was set. It's like, we could have forced them to push it straight, and we didn't because it made no sense. We take those factors in all the time, and I think we need to take the factors in. That's why this process is here.
Oh, and I agree with that, but again, I caution the board with their analysis when it's been presented to us that we're encroaching into the setback for the sake of keeping trees, and there's other spots on there that the shed can reasonably be located.
The word reasonable is the thing I disagree with you on. I don't think it's reasonable. So, okay.
All right, so.
Motion is made and
It's
seconded.
been seconded.
Mhm.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we got 3-1, so your variance has been granted.
Thank you very much. That it? You're good? Okay.
Can I start building tomorrow?
So is there a
Yes.
30-day
Yeah.
waiting period?
Yeah, isn't there a?
There's a 30-day appeal period.
Okay.
So it's, and Jeff, this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for an appeal period means if in a butter, somebody wanted to come in and appeal the decision and we reversed it and the shed's already built. So I don't think there's really much, but typically we caution people about moving forward with building things until that 30-day appeal period expires in case somebody did come in
Okay.
and filed an appeal and that appeal was successful.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
All right.
supposed to be easier.
Okay, so we have
Because he wasn't.
3 cases for
We're good.
443 Charles Bancroft Highway. So we have case number 62022-2, 62022-3, and 622-4. The first one is a special exception from LZO Article 1200, Section 1208, to construct within the buffers of the wetlands within the Wetland Conservation District. This case was continued from the June 20th meeting. The applicant is Whitney Realty and Mel's Funway Park LLC, and they are the owners. The location of the property is 443 Charles Bancroft Highway, map 20, lot 14, 449 Charles Bancroft Highway, map 20, lot 16. And you're going to do everything all together? Do you want me to read the next cases, or is your presentation going to encompass all 3, or do you want to do it one by one?
I want to do it with a full board of 5 members.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop right there. So you want 5 members, so you are seeking to continue.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Andy Perlman for Mel's Funway Park Limited Liability Company and the Whitney Realty Trust. The applicants respectfully request that the board continue the 3 cases to allow for a full board of 5.
And what is, I'm just trying to find the next meeting date.
So I have a conflict with the next meeting.
Yeah, I do too, unfortunately. I'll be out of the country.
What's the date? on
I'm
that?
just trying to find the date.
Oh,
I think it's the 19th or
The
something.
19th.
Oh, okay. So
September
19th is good.
19th?
Yeah, the
September
19th.
19th, so we're going to be down 3, so I would say we can continue it to the October 17th.
Unless you can get some other people to come.
To get a 5-member, we wouldn't be able to do
I
that.
got
Pretty sure
Al and
17th.
Kyle, right?
17th is good too.
That's 4 at this point.
Well, the 3 of you aren't here.
Oh, you're not here too?
Oh, no, I'm here for September.
I thought you were here. for
September, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not here in September.
you are here.
I should be good for September
Okay.
and October.
Okay, so, all right, so 1, 2, Al,
So it's
No,
19
no,
September and
that's it.
17 October, right? Those are the 2
so,
dates.
yeah, that's only 4.
It's
So
only
I
4.
would, Andy, I would recommend, I mean, you can come for September to see if we can get a 5-member board. It looks like we probably won't be able to, so that's up to you if you want to just continue it to the 17th
Well,
of October.
let me ask if we can continue it till September 19th.
Sure.
Because the parking involved is needed for Spooky World,
Spooky.
right? So October's,
Yeah, it's a
Pushing it.
bad time.
and I'll risk it. Having this discussion, is there anything I can do? Can I call selectmen to harass people?
was-
Can I harass board members?
I'm going to
I always
ask.
do that.
Well, we're short.
Well,
we're
here's-
It would be out of line to harass
Oh,
board members, but
well,
it wouldn't be out of line to talk to the selectmen and
well,
say, hey, let's
Here's,
go.
here's a thought for you. If I
Please.
can kind of talk to the board and try to get a special meeting scheduled where I could have 5.
We would accommodate your schedule.
And then, so if you wouldn't mind sending me some dates that would work for you and your client, and then I can look at that. And that would be a cost that the town could absorb. We'd have to renotice and, post it again because it's going to be a date. We can't continue it to a date certain right now. So I'd have to just double check on.
That's fine. And,
On the
and,
cost
and we
for
don't
that.
mind absorbing those costs
Okay.
if we can get us a hearing.
All right, then I
Right.
think that could
So
work.
I
then.
really
Okay.
appreciate that
Yep, so if-
offer.
Yep, so if you wouldn't mind giving me some dates that your
Sure.
client's available, then I can do an email blast to everybody and try to get us 5 members and express.
Is there
I
a
mean,
day of the week that's preferred?
only day that I'm not good at with is usually Wednesdays. That's not a good day for me.
Okay.
And you should be able to, if this room is booked, we can use across the street over at the fire station.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we can broadcast from there too.
Oh, perfect.
So we just got to coordinate that.
Well, that's fantastic. That's very much appreciated.
Yeah.
We'll pay the fees again. It's no big deal.
Okay, perfect. If you just want to get me those dates, because I know you're really under the gun for Spooky World, so we
Yeah.
want to get you heard.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so you have your motion though. We're just going to continue it just in case till September 19th.
Yes.
So I'm going to make a motion to continue case number 6/2022-2-3 and -4 to September 19th. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so right now it's continued to September 19th. Get me the dates and we'll
Yep.
try to do a special meeting for you.
Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you. Good. It's a short night.
So September, the bad week for me is the 12th through the 16th. That week I'm on travel.
Okay, so,
But I should be here for the rest of the duration.
all right, so September.
So my problem is I'll give you the whole story, so I'll make you cry. So my best friend died of ALS, so I have to go down to Arizona to walk his daughter down the aisle. So I cannot cancel on
Oh,
that.
no, not at all.
No, you shouldn't.
So I get back on the 20th,
Wait,
Tuesday the 20th.
So September
And I
20th,
leave-
they're talking about?
Yeah, September 20th is when I get back that night.
So when do you leave?
I'm leaving the 15th. It sounds like he's on the 15th.
9/15 through 9, and you're back the 20th.
Yeah, 15th to the 20th.
So is the week before too early?
I mean, they're ready to go.
Technically not. I mean, if we can,
If you can
when are
move
you,
it.
when are you available?
So I am gone as of the 20. Hang on. 22nd, I think.
9/22, you're going.
Sorry. Hang on. 15th. I leave on the 15th.
So you leave, so you leave on the 15th.
Leave on the 15th, and I'm not back until the 27th. I'm back.
So maybe the first week. Well,
But if you can, I was gonna say, if you can do the first week in September you want, you can
Yeah.
probably even do.
I'm thinking, what about
Six.
September 8th? I'm going. Yep.
Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah, let's
9/8.
try that.
Does that work for folks?
Thursday.
Make
the
it
8th.
work, yeah.
All right, so I need to get one more person for a 5-member board. All right, so 9/8, and hopefully that works for them.
Yeah, that'd be good. How about 6 as an alternate?
I am not here.
Okay.
I'm in Texas.
9/8, or we're looking at the last week of September.
Right, which is past the 19th.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
so we'll
Sounds
look
good.
at that 9/8 to see if we can get one more person for 9/8. Does that work for you, Jeff? 9/8?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other business?
Motion to adjourn?
I believe next month we are across the street at the fire station.
On the what? The
Our
19th?
Next month's meeting on the 19th.
Yeah, you were gonna be anyway, so it didn't matter. Yeah. So if we actually hold the meeting on the 19th, you'll be across the street.
We're doing.
Because
the
somebody's
8th, right?
using this.
The budget season, so there's a special selectmen's meeting and they take priority on this room.
Right.
So,
But the 8th should be okay, right?
And just
yeah,
make
the
sure-
8th looks like you can do it here, actually.
Okay.
What I can tell from the schedule. If I see a conflict, let you know, but it looks like this room's open on the 8th
Great,
also, so
thank
that
you.
makes it simpler.
And our agenda should reflect that it would be, if we have a meeting on the 19th, that it's there and not here.
Right. Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
our legal
Yeah.
notice should reflect that it's
Mhm.
there and not here.
Yeah, and if you look at the town calendar, it does already reflect that it's going to be next door, not here. So it's already been moved out next door on the 19th.
I think somebody made a motion to
I made
adjourn.
a motion. to adjourn.
Was this, I don't think we're seconding it yet. I will second it.
Awesome.
All in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? All right, the meeting is adjourned at
when the motion is
7:49.
made, you don't have to wait for a second. Motion to adjourn, it gets voted on right away, I thought.
Sometimes.
Should automatic second?
Well,
That would not be Robert's rules.
I just